This is Beck Bamberger with the latest in San Diego business news. Breast cancer may be one step closer.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Chloe Andrews was a model student. Reading was her favorite pastime. She liked to twirl her blonde curls with her finger while devouring as many books as she could. She couldn't afford to buy all the books she read. Not many 17-year-olds could. And her parents weren't so well off. Times were hard. The school library was like a refuge for her. For some reason, it was comforting to be surrounded by thousands of books. Books were doorways into new, fantastical, sometimes scary worlds. True escapism. But it was time to leave Fantasyland. All the teachers had gone home, as far as she knew. Only the janitors remained. "I should have guessed you'd be here." "Best place to be, Bob," Chloe replied. "It's not safe for a young girl to wander here after dark. I can handle myself." That's what that poor girl said. I was the one who found her. Didn't they catch the killer? Apparently. Stanley Roberts. But he pleaded innocent. Bob stroked his mustache. Of course he would. Chloe rolled her eyes. There was some truth behind those tears of his. Something just wasn't right about that case. I heard the girl was a bully. Stanley, too. There's a girl in my English class. I think they used to torment her. Allison Greenwood, Bob said. How did you know? A janitor knows everything. All the dirty little secrets. Bob emptied a tin trash can into a bin bag. After the brutal murder of 16-year-old Janet Cotton, Bob found an unusual object in the trash. It was a small rag doll, an effigy of a dark, masked figure. Chloe pondered when Allison's name was mentioned. Bob asked if she was okay. Chloe nodded and shrugged off her thoughts. She left the library, wishing Bob good night, and casually walked down the long hall. Classrooms were on both sides, mainly used for teaching English literature. Chloe was an A-plus student, looking to go further at university after her O-levels. She never put a wrong foot. That was until she started dating Mike Downton, the ex-boyfriend of Allison Greenwood. The lights flickered for a moment. That's all it took to make the hallway look like an abandoned hospital, where mentally ill patients once were treated. The dimly lit hallway led to old stairs that spiraled down. It was the only way out of the building. Chloe hurried across the hall. It had an eerie vibe that she didn't like. 2 hardcover books pressed tightly against her chest. She held them there as there was no room inside her chunky shoulder bag. A shadow spooked her. A menacing, tall figure was about to turn the corner in front of her. She grabbed hold of the nearest silver knob and snuck into an empty classroom. This would seem like odd behavior to anyone else, but the conversation with Bob had lingered in her mind. What if the police got it wrong? What if the killer was still out there? The shadowy figure could have been one of the janitors, or a teacher who had come back, forgetting a wallet or something. But Chloe's reaction was natural if he heard about the murder at Belmont Academy. It all started with the flickering of a bulb and a shadowy figure. The figure walked past the classroom. Chloe could see the ominous black mass through the frosted glass windows. She hid under the middle row of tables. The table leg jerked. The doorknob turned. feet walked across the classroom near the teacher's desk. Chloe watched as the black soles paced back and forth. A sharp knife dangled in the figure's hand. Chloe's anxiety hit the roof. Minced meat came to mind. She struggled to keep her body still. Holding her breath was difficult. Keeping her shaky legs still, even worse. She wished for the mysterious stranger to leave, just so she could take a breath. The figure took its time, like it knew she was in there and just wanted to instill as much fear into her as possible, which wasn't hard, especially as Chloe was recalling how the victims of the school murder ended up. The door shut. Chloe sighed with relief, but she had to get out of there. She cautiously made her move, crawling towards the teacher's desk, crouching up and taking a tiny peek through the small, clear window on the door. The lights flickered continuously. It was quiet. Now was as good a time as any. She made her move, heart pounding. She turned the silver knob. It made a slight creak, but not loud enough to disturb the peace. With one eye, she scanned through the thin opening of the door. She widened it. Still nothing. She made her move. Back in the hallway, she hurried down the corridor. Footsteps forced her to glance over her shoulder. It was the masked stalker. Its mask was like a black sack, made from a burlap fabric, like a scarecrow's mask. Chloe dropped her books and ran. She made it to the stairs. The menacing figure had vanished. But Chloe didn't stop to think about its magical act. She ran down the spiraling steps. 2 more steps to the chunky front doors. She pushed them. They didn't budge. Chloe pushed harder, running her shoulder into the doors. Nothing. They were locked. Chloe's long blonde hair was yanked by force. She was dragged to the other side. Her legs kicked the floor, and no one heard her screams. The masked stalker opened the back doors and dragged Chloe to the courtyard. Standing tall were 2 basketball hoops. The masked stalker pushed Chloe to the ground and crouched on top of her. The figure didn't move as it perched on her chest. It covered her mouth with a gloved hand. The masked stalker removed its mask with its free hand. Chloe's eyes widened, and within seconds, she passed out. Students and staff that arrived early made a shocking and disturbing discovery. A small crowd gathered around the horrific, sickening sight. Mike Downton walked across the courtyard carrying his book bag. He noticed the distressed crowd first, but then raised his eyes up. His jaw dropped. He shook his head and looked again. There was no error in his vision. This was real. Mike pushed towards the crowd, pushing through the student bodies. He fell to his knees. Tears ran down his face. He struggled to speak. A rope was tied around Chloe's neck. She was found hanging from the rim of a basketball hoop. Observing the murder scene from afar, rocking a dark, emo-inspired look, was Allison Greenwood. The smirk on her face was subtle, as subtle as she discarded the little black doll in her hand, placing it in the nearby trash can. In this case, no one knew who the killer was. There was no suspect. No one was convicted. Just the way Allison wanted. Unlike what happened to Stanley Roberts, she wanted Stanley to suffer more than just the loss of his bullying girlfriend. Allison let him remember every brutal detail, every bloody stab with his knife, every scream. But in this new case, only Allison Greenwood and Chloe Andrews knew the killer. In Chloe's final minutes of life, she believed that her boyfriend, Mike Downton, did the horrendous, despicable act. It was Mike, but it was against his will. In fact, he was unaware he was doing it. Allison made it so. She also made sure that the police found no shred of evidence linking Mike to Chloe's murder. Unlike Stanley Roberts, Allison had the ultimate control over their minds and actions, and whoever else she cursed. All it took was a little black doll, a few malevolent, powerful, illicit words, and the masked figure came to life and killed again.
And now a word from our sponsors.
No way. I don't believe this. Come on, boy. Sit, boy. Whoa!
If you're anything like me, after these scary tales, you'll want to snuggle up next to somebody and get some comfort. And what better source of comfort than our furry best friends? For those of you that are following me or our new rescue golden retriever Finn on Instagram, you'll know what a bundle of energy and love he is, and that's why he deserves the best. I am so excited to announce our new partnership with Buddy Empire. Buddy Empire creates the most adorable and precious accessories for our furry best friends to give them the love that they give us. And when you use our code BuddyLove at checkout, they're going to give you a 10% discount just for doing what you're probably going to do anyway, which is spoil those pets rotten. So check out buddyempire.com today, and don't forget to use code BuddyLove at checkout for your 10% off. I cannot wait to share with you all the adorable reindeer hoodie that I got for Finn and for Moosey as we get closer to the holiday season. Thank you so much to Buddy Empire for sponsoring this video. And thank all of you for checking out Buddy Empire, because it really does help the channel. Until tomorrow, sleep well.